baseball and the stadium. Mr. Shaney. Yes.
Shaney, right. Thank
Shaney,
you.
right. Clever, Kathy.
All right, well, I guess we should get started. So I wanted to have you all work together, and let's just see what you remember about putting your workbooks together. So the one file that I created is called the Meal Resort Workbook. I'd like you all to open that. And so I'm going to show you a few things, how you can create a simple worksheet and how you can fix it up and organize it. And then we're going to look at that, how to print it. One of the things I know that we were talking about last time is printing. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see, did I even open that myself? I think I did. Yeah, okay. So this is the worksheet I'm talking about. So let's pretend you have a little restaurant at some kind of little resort, and you want to keep track of your revenue in a particular season. And so I just threw this together. And this is how you typically start your worksheets. You come up with an idea and you just start putting it together, and it's in this raw form. It's not looking pretty, but we will make it look a lot better. So one of the first things I would do with a sheet like this is I would move the data, all this, over right next to the labels over here. Oh, here's Mary coming in. Excuse me. So for anybody who just joined, I'm just going to catch you up. I sent out an email yesterday with a couple of worksheets attached and the video of last week. And we're opening up the worksheet that's called the Spring Summer Resort Meal Revenue Worksheet. And so this is what it looks like. And we're going to talk about, and I want you all to do this with me so that you get the feel of it. And I want you to open up the worksheet, and we're going to make it look better. So the purpose of this worksheet is just to get a kind of a snapshot, if you will, of what kind of revenue is coming in over the months of May through October, which is our spring and summer season. We happen to have a little restaurant at a resort, and we're just tabulating what our revenue is. So first thing, like I said, what I would do is after I just threw in my data, I'm going to select this block, this range from May, which is C5 through and including H9. And I want to move it to column B, because right now it's in column C, and we don't really need a space between the labels and the data. So I'm going to select it, move my mouse to the any outer border, and get my four-headed arrow, hold down my left mouse button, and drag it over one column.
Oh.
Okay.
Let's see.
So the next thing I want to do is I want to take the May through June range, and I want to center the headings over the columns. So once I've done that, I'm going to go to my alignment group on my ribbon, and I'm going to click on the button that says center your content. So you'll see these little buttons. These are your alignment, and I want to center it. So now they're all centered. The next thing I want to do is I notice that column A, my happy hour is somewhat not fully displayed. So I want to widen my column A, but I'm not going to, yeah, I'm just going to move up to the right edge of the letter A. And I'm going to get my double-headed arrow. I'm going to hold down my left mouse button and just drag it just a little bit so that that's being displayed. Excuse me. Now, it says meals in cell A5. That's a label, but the breakfast and everything underneath is basically a category. So I want to distinguish it more so that it looks more like a category than a heading. So I'm going to select the range of A6 through A10. And I never mentioned this before, but in the alignment group, you'll see these two buttons here that says decrease indent and increase indent. So instead of hitting tab, because we hit the tab button, it's going to just move to another cell. I just want to indent this column a little bit. So I'm going to click on the button that says increase indent once. See how that shoved everything over?
Yeah.
You definitely tell that it's a category.
Okay. Yep.
Now, because of that, I might have to widen my column A again because my happy
Read
hour.
it.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. I'm going to click in my total A10. And typically when we're using numbers and we want things lined up on the right side of the cell. So I'm going to make the label total right justified. So I'm going to go again to my alignment group. And the third button here is your align right. So it looks more like.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Okay, looking better already, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to see commas in my numbers so I can tell, thousands, 10,000s, etc. So I'm going to select that range, which is B6 through and including G9. And in my numbers group, I'm going to click the comma. Now the comma is going to put the 1,000 comma separator, plus is going to give us decimals. Okay. I don't want to see the just .00, so I'm going to decrease my decimals by 2 just by clicking twice. 1, 2. Okay. So now I can tell the difference between 1,000 and 34,000. So much easier to read. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to total my May figure. So I'm going to click in cell B10. And I'm going to go to my auto sum button, which is on the right side of my ribbon. It says auto sum. And so I selected B10 because that's the blank cell underneath the numbers I want total. I click, and it's telling me that I am adding the range of numbers of B6 through and including B9. That's what I want. I press the enter key, and there's my total. Not a bad total for May.
No. Nice.
And so I want that same formula for June through October. I don't have to retype it. I'm just going to use my autofill handle because everything is adjacent. So I'm going to go down to my bottom right corner of my cell until I see that little black plus. Hold down my left mouse button and drag it through October.
Wow.
And since I happen to like the $ here, I'm going to go back to my numbers group, and I'm going to click on the $ that says accounting number format. Now, again, it's going to give me the .00, but I can reduce that. So I don't need to see the extra decimals, so I'm gonna reduce that again. I don't need to see dollar signs all the way through because I know the fact that this is a dollar sign, that these are all in dollars and cents. So far, so good?
Yes.
Okay. Now I want to add a little more to this. I'm going to add a little color to my table. And I'm just going to choose any particular color. But what I want to do is I want to have the May through through October, my months. And I want to have a little color in the cell. So I'm going to go up to my font group. Oh, here's Dorothy. So I'm going to go to my little fill handle here, not fill handle, but my fill color button in my font group. It should be a little bucket with a yellow stripe underneath. And I'll let you choose whatever color you want. I'm going to choose a green because it's spring. And I'm going to click. So now I've got a little color there. And I want the meals to have a slightly different color. So I'm going to choose a different color. You might want to keep the same color on. Maybe that will be, yeah, yellow, sunny. Okay. In fact, what I'm going to do is I like that color. So I'm going to select breakfast through happy hour and use the same color. I think because the total row is a total, I want it to look more like an accounting worksheet. So I'm going to choose a cell style called total. So I'm going to select row 10 through October. And on my styles grouping on my ribbon, you should see cell styles. I'm going to click on the drop down arrow and notice that there is a total format, which gives you that solid top line and double bottom line. So I'm going to click on that. And so that's my total row. Okay. I'm going to do one more thing here. I am going to select my meals all the way through column G. And I want it to be centered. And I wanted to make, instead of making 6 or 7 individual cells, I wanted to be one cell. So I'm going to go up to my ribbon where it says merge and center in the alignment group and click on that.
Okay.
I'm going to do the same thing for spring and summer. Merge and center. I'm going to delete the May through October because obviously it's May through October by my heading. So I'm going to delete that. Just select A3 and press the delete key. And I think I will once again merge and center the year. Now you might wonder why I didn't select all 3 of them at once. You can't do them all 3 at once. There's another way of doing that. But if I'm not doing it all at once, and to merge and center, if you looked at the, the Global Foundation website that I pointed you to, there is a little video telling you not to overuse the merge and center feature, because sometimes when you're adding figures, it can get in the way, but since I'm not using it anywhere near my data, I figured I could merge and center.
Question.
Yes,
Okay, the line with 2021 on it has a box around it.
yes.
Is that permanent?
It's not really a box. It looks like a box because I selected it. When you click on something, it's showing a selection. So if I take it off, you'll see it's not there.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me. So I think I pretty well finished this particular sheet. Now, I'm thinking I might want to do this for every year, and I don't want to have to redo this sheet every single time. So what I want to do is make a copy of this sheet and blank out the numbers so that all I have to do is grade it again by adding in my particular totals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this sheet. I'm going to make this a 2022 sheet for next year. So I'm going to go down to my sheet tab that says 2021. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to go to the option that says move or copy.
Cool.
I want to move it to the end. And it's very important that I click create copy. Somebody's got something.
Yeah, what is going background?
Somebody have a TV or something on?
I don't know where it is, but I can't.
Somebody has something on in the background, like a TV or a radio or something. Please mute.
Yeah, and there. No.
Okay. So where it says create copy, I'm going to click OK. And now I have another tab. Notice it says 2021 and 2 in parentheses. I'm going to double click on that. And I'm going to just change it to say 2022. But what I'm going to do here, number one, I'm going to change the 2021 in my heading to 2022. And I'm going to delete all the data. I'm going to select it, press delete. I'm sorry, wait a minute, undo that. I didn't mean to do that. I meant the data, not the totals. Select that and press delete. The reason why I didn't want to delete the totals because that's where the formula is. So when May 2022, when I know what my figures are going to be, it will appear.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
So I can do the same thing. If I want to do other sheets, I can do 2023, 24, 25, etc. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure each year has a different color sheet. So for 2022, I'm going to change the sheet tab color to something different. Let's say I'm going to make this one blue. I'm going to go back to 2021 and put in a different sheet color. Let's make this one. Okay. So I just wanted to just have you go through this to see how easy it is to start taking something pretty raw and just use very simple formatting to make it look more professional, and how to make sure that you can update things without having to put all the, you're basically making this like a template. So this is your template. You copy it, you've got your functions already in there. You just add the data, it automatically adds up for you. Any questions?
Can you go over the copy part again for me?
Yeah, yeah, and you change the name.
Okay, so if I want to copy 2022, you click on that tab. And when you have colored tabs, the pastel color is the one that's active. The bright color one is the one that's inactive. So let's say I wanted to copy 2021 again. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to go to the option that says move or copy. When I click on that, it's going to tell me what book it's in. This is the current book. If I want to put it into a new book, I can click on the drop down. You'll notice it says new book. It has other things in here. So I'm going to keep it in the current book, and I'm going to move it to the end. And it's important not to forget to click create a copy, because if you don't create a copy, you're going to move it. So I just want to create a copy, click OK, and you'll see the copy will have the number in there. It says 2021 and 2, let you know it's a copy. Change the name. I'm going to right click on that sheet tab, and you can either go to the rename button or just double click on the existing. If I double click on the sheet tab, it will highlight and then put in another year. I'll put 2023. So I have 2021, 2022, 2023. And again, what I did to make it a template, I just deleted the data, but not the formulas or functions, so that when I delete the data, remember what changes is the input. My output remains the same. It's still adding those columns. So when I start adding in numbers, it will automatically update. Okay. Did that help you, Mary? I think it was Mary that asked. Okay. Well, I wanted to go over that, and now I want to talk about, let's say we want to print this. This was something that came up last week about how you make, what do you do when you print? So let's go to 2021, and let's go to our File tab and go to the Print option. And you might be surprised to see that that simple table will not print on one page as it is. And you go back to it and you're thinking, this should easily fit on one page. But Excel decided that in column E, if you go back to the document, you should notice a dotted line at the end of column E. This is telling you where it will do a page break. I don't want it to break at column E. I don't want it to break at all. I want it to go all the way to column G. This is the reason why I tell you should always preview before you possibly print, because you would think, you know, this will easily fit on one sheet, and you print it and you'd be surprised when you see just May through August and then another page, just September and October. So I'm gonna go back to File, Print, and this is what it's going to look like. And I look at the bottom and it tells me I'm looking at page 1 of 2. I'm thinking, that's not what I want. Okay. Well, because there's only 2 more columns, this is a portrait view. If I make it a landscape view, a horizontal view, I should be able to get it all on one page without changing anything. Right?
Right.
That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. If I go back to my normal view, I'm in the normal view right now. If I click on the last button that says Page Break Preview, if I click on that, here's showing me page 1, and you can barely see it, but it says page 2 here. This one's a pretty easy fix. I don't even have to go to landscape. If I want, I can take this blue dotted line, move my mouse and I'll get a double-headed arrow, hold my mouse button down and drag it all the way. Now it's showing me it's all on one page. If I go back to my normal view, you'll see the dotted line now is at column G. If I go to my page layout view, I click on that, it shows it's on one page. It shows the active page, and over here is the start of another page. Okay. If I wanted to add a header to this page, you will only see headers on your page layout view or your page break view. You will never see a header on your normal view. So if I want to add a header, I can click on the page layout view, scroll up, and when you hover over the header area, you'll notice that it's 3 squares. First, on the left, when you type anything in the left, it will be left aligned. If you click on the middle, things will be centered in that cell. You click on the right, things will be right justified. So let's say I'm going to call this particular, let's say I'm going to say this is first year, or I'll say year 1. Okay. And this was prepared, let's say this was prepared, we can put today's date as the date of preparation. You should notice that when you're in the header view, you look at your ribbon, you should notice it says header and footer elements. I don't have to type a lot of things in there because they already have some pre-formatted information. So if I want to have the current date, there's a button that says current date. I click on current date. This is the current date code. Now, you don't have to memorize this code. This is what it's going to look like in the page layout view. But if you click in any cell outside of that, you'll see the current date.
Mm.
And let's say I want to print all 3 of my worksheets. So I'm going to go back to my normal view. Notice you do not see the header in the normal view. I'm going to go to File, Print. And it's showing once again, everything is in the portrait view. Oh, I'm sorry, that's landscape. This is portrait. This is portrait. Okay. Oh, sorry, in portrait. I'm going to put it back on landscape. Okay. Landscape view. It shows only 1 page, but I have 3 sheets and it's not showing the other sheets. So if I want all 3 sheets to be printed out at once, I would go settings group, and it says print active sheets. Well, the only active sheet right now is 2021. So if I click on the little drop down arrow, it says print entire workbook. Now notice it says 1 of 5. Now you might think, why is it 1 of 5? Why isn't it 1 of 3? Because I didn't change the formatting of the other 2 workbooks. So if I click on my right arrow, you'll see that the worksheet goes only until August and not until October because I didn't, do the same thing I did before. So to change that, I'm going to go to settings, scaling. Right now it says no scaling. Fit all columns on one page. Okay. I'm going to go down to the next worksheet. And again, I want fitting all columns on one page. And now I have, when I print my workbook, I'll have 2021 through 2023. And you might want to think, maybe I should, how can I tell? I forgot to change the settings, didn't I, in 2021? When I made the copies, I forgot to update worksheet number 3. So I'm going to go back to my worksheet, click on 2023 and make sure that says 2023. Worksheet number 2 says 2022. Worksheet 1 says 2021. I want to make sure that I add another heading on my other 2 worksheets so that they update accordingly. One thing that's interesting about Excel, when you do a header or a footer, unlike Word, when you do a header or a footer, the information you put in the header or footer appears on every single page of your document. Unfortunately, Excel doesn't do it that way.
Okay.
Each page you have to individually put the headers and footers on.
Okay.
So let's go back to our
Original page.
let's go to our page layout view. I'm sorry, let's go back to our file, print, or you can just go, that's just one way of doing it. Okay. So this is page 1. I'm going to go to page 2. Actually, I want to go back to page 1. And I'm going to add a header on page 1. And by the way, you can also add headers from this view as well. Click on the page setup. And you see the tab that says headers and footers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm going to, you notice it says header year 1. It has the date. But if I click on the drop down, I should also see the tab. Let's see if I can find the tab. I thought the tab would be on there, but I don't see the tab on there. Okay, so since the tab is not on here, I'm going to create a custom header. So on the left side, I'm going to add the tab. Which one is the tab? I think this is, see it says insert sheet name.
Mm-hmm.
Click on that and that one should say 2020, 2021. It says 2021 now. So I know that this sheet is the 2021 sheet. If I go to sheet 2, notice that it doesn't have any of the things that I put on sheet 1.
Right.
So I would have to go and do a custom like I did before. Okay, here we go. 2022, but I put it in the wrong place. Right. What did I have in the middle? I had
The middle. Let me go to my sheet and look.
I had year 1. Okay, so that would be year 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go back And in my header and footer, I'm going to that one's going to have to be custom as well. So that means I'm going to actually type it in. So custom header. I'm going to delete this and type year 2. The left section, I'm going to have the tab sheet, which is 2022, and the date. That's what I'm going to have on all my, I have to do it manually.
Mhm.
So click OK, and now I'm going to go to the third sheet. And once again, header and footer, custom header. On the left, I'm going to have the tab sheet. In the middle, I'm going to type, in this case, year 3. And on the right side, today's date. Oh, as you can see, now this is what I want it to look like when I print it out. Now it's what you see is what you get.
Okay,
Okay.
page 1, and they're all
I basically kind of took you with this particular worksheet from step 1 of creating it, step 2, formatting it, step 3, printing it.
printing.
And this is just a really simple one. But I wanted to get an idea of what the thought process would be. So when you're first doing it, you're simply putting down the information, then you start making it look a little more attractive, more professional. You know, you can change the font, you can do a bunch of different things. But when it comes to a spreadsheet, one of the most important things to do is to make sure that the numbers are easy to read. It's just typing in numbers is not enough. You need to make it easy to read, let you know what you're looking at. Labels help you understand the categories that you're looking at, and numbers helps you understand what format, what you're looking at. Could be items, could be money, could be whatever. Just making it more attractive, just like with Word. The whole point is to let people want to look at your data and to get something out of it. And if we wanted to enhance it further, let's say we wanted to make a chart, so say a line chart to see perhaps what this would look like. Maybe at a glance, we could see which months are greater, or we can see a trend. So I'm selecting the entire table. I'm going to go to my quick analysis toolbar down here. And I'm going to click on chart. And I think this time I'm going to click on line. And let's say I want to put this underneath my table. As an object, I can drag it down and I can resize it by, these are called sizing handles. The corner ones keep the perspective, the aspect ratio. If I want to change it a little bit different. So by looking at this particular table, I can see that the, maybe I don't want to see the total. Maybe I just want to see May through October, the trends. So maybe I will, in this case, screen out the total line. So I'm going to click on the chart. Remember I mentioned the little funnel is how you filter data. So I'm going to click on that. and I'm going to take out the total series. So, oops. Oh, I forgot. You know what? The reason why I didn't do it, because I didn't apply. Remember I told you you must click the apply button down here. I didn't do that. Total, apply. Okay. So now we can tell very easily that the dinner trend is our most revenue producing, and the happy hour, of course, is our least, but we can look at the differences in the increases, and we can do a whole bunch of stuff with it, but this is just making it more visual. Here you have to look at the numbers more closely. Here you just have to look at the chart to get an idea of what things are. Okay. Was this helpful?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. All right. So I'm going to move on. And this one's going to take a little more time. Somebody asked me about an amortization table. So I've created one. And I gave it to you in the amortization table worksheet. So we're going to open that. And the reason why I'm going to show you this is to show you that if you have to do something more complex like that, that using named cells makes the reading the formulas so much easier, and it can make creating the worksheet so much faster. So I'm going to stop my share, and I want you to open up that other worksheet that I gave you, which is the amortization practice table, which looks like this. Now, this is a completed one. This one is for someone purchasing a car, a vehicle, and they're going to a bank to finance it. So the car costs $85,000. They are going to pay it back in 7 years. The loan term is how long will it take you to pay it off. The rate of interest is 4.5%, and this is an annual, interest rate.
Great.
And so the payment for this, a monthly payment would be $1,181.51. Now, the payment figure came from using the PMT formula, function that is. The PMT function, and I'm just going to click here just to refresh your memory. If I went into the formulas tab and I wanted to figure out what would be the monthly payment if I borrowed $85,000 from the bank at 4.5% interest over 7 years, what am I going to be paying monthly? So I would go to the PMT function, which you'll find under financial. Scroll down, you'll see there are a lot of wonderful functions on financial, but the PMT calculates the payment for a loan based on constant payments and a constant interest rate. So this is not for a variable interest rate, but a fixed one. These are the things that you must know. The rate, which is, the interest rate. How many payments, that's what the N per means. The present value, there's a future value, and a type means whether the payment's going to be in the beginning of the month or at the end of the month or in the middle of the month. So, whoops, what happened here? Let me go back to that PMT. And here's the function argument box. So if I were to fill this out, the rate tells you calculate the payment for a loan on constant payments at a constant rate. And it's the interest rate per period for the loan. So the rate that's listed in this box is annual. But we want to know what's the interest rate, because you know, when you're paying an interest rate, you're paying it per month if you're doing it annual. So I would normally click on this box, which is cell. Okay, I know what's going on here. I forgot to tell you something. I name these cells in this little table here. Rather than have to type in C5 and C6, etc., I wanted all these values to be named cells. It makes my looking at functions easier. So to name cells like this, if I selected this range of text and I wanted only these cells, C5, 6, 7, and 8 to have names, and I happen to want the names for convenience to be what they're labeled over here: loan amount, loan term, etc. Rather than type it in manually, believe it or not, Excel has a way of doing that for you. So to do that, what I did, I can't redo it. Oh, I happen to see that my blinds are being delivered to my door. I will pick them up at the break. So if you go to your Formula tab on your ribbon, you will see a defined names grouping. Because I've selected this range, I'm going to click on this button that says Create from Selection. It says it automatically generates names from the selected cells. So if I did this, you're going to get this dialog box that says create names from the values in the cells at the top row. I don't have it at the top row. Left column. Mine are in the left column. Okay. I'm not going to click OK because I've already done this. But if you look at this now, after you've done that, you're not going to see anything happen, except now if I click in cell C5, it's not going to say C5. It's going to say loan amount, because that's what the left column says, loan amount. When I click on cell C6, it's going to say loan term. It says loan term. And when I click on C7, it's going to say rate. Okay, and when I click on payment, it's going to show the formula of the PMT, which is rate divided by 12, because if it's a monthly interest rate, I've got to take the annual interest rate and divide it by 12. And the loan term, which is 7 times 12, because they're 12 months in a year, right? 7 years times 12. And the loan amount is the present value of the loan. And so it's showing me that the PMT is going to be, the actual number is $1,181.81. That is going to look a lot better than the formula function saying equals, let's see, it would be equals C6 divided by 12, comma, C7 divided by 12, comma, C7 and C8. Because that's just,
He does that for you.
yes, this makes it easier to understand what this number came from, where it actually came from. And
That's cool.
the more you use it, it's easier to understand when you see words like this. if you've used this function a lot, which I've used PMT a whole lot, you already know what the syntax is. This first one is the rate, this is the term, and this is the actual present value. That's what all these represent. And that's what these gave me this number.
Hmm.
Okay.
Cool.
So that's how that came about. So now, so let's just show you that this shows, because we said it's a 7-year term, that means there's 84 payments, right? So if you look at this, it's showing you what your ending balance is. This is showing you what your interest is per payment, what your principal is, etc. And when you get down to the last payment, down to 0. Okay. So I'm going to show you how we did this. Do you want us to stop right here and go into a break, or should I? I think let's take a. Where did I put my amortization? Oh, here it is. Okay. Does everybody see this?
Yes.
Yes.
The car loan? Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to show you how we did this. I want you to click on the tab that says Audi loan. Okay. Now, in this one, you might notice the table shows that the loan amount is $98,000, still 7-year loan, still 4.5% per year, but the payment on this one is $1,362.22. Notice the table on the right tells you how much interest you will be paying on this loan over 7 years.
7 years.
So you take your principal amount, which is the $98,000, add the principal, and at the end of your loan, you've paid $114,426.13 for this car. So here I have my 84 payments. So the beginning balance, if you notice, if in this cell, it says in cell B13, it says 98,000, but what's really in that cell is telling you, it's pointing to the cell that has the loan amount, which is right here, which happens to be C5, but it's pointing to, it's now called loan amount. Okay. So that's why it says in this cell, loan amount. Now, you notice I put some hints up here. In the cell that's the column that says interest, interest is calculated by multiplying the beginning balance by the rate divided by 12. So if I click in this cell, it's going to equal the beginning balance, which happens to be this cell here, B13, okay, times the rate, which is here, divided by 12 months. Now, don't hit enter, because if you look at this particular formula here, this one has mixed operators. Remember we talked about mixed operators? You want to make sure that your formulas are in the order of precedence, PEMDAS.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. What do we want it to do first? Right now it has a multiplication and division, which are kind of equal, but if the way it's written right now is going to take the 98,000 times the 4.5%. And then it's going to divide by 12. That's not what we wanted to do we?
No.
We want to what? Do the rate.
We want,
put in parentheses what we wanted to do first.
okay, loan.
We want to
Right.
take the 4.5% divided by 12, which will give us the monthly interest rate times the beginning balance. Okay, so that's what we wanted to do. So for that particular calculation, it gave us a result of $367.50. So that's the interest. If I go to the principal, it tells me the principal is the payment amount minus the interest. So the payment, the cell that has the payment, is this cell here. Okay. Whoops, I forgot to put the equal sign in there. Equals payment minus the interest, which we just calculated, which is here. Okay. So far, we know what the beginning balance is. We've calculated what the interest, the monthly interest is on $98,000 at 4.5%. And we know the principal, which is taking the interest minus, taking the payment minus the interest is going to give us the balance, which is the $994.72. And you know that the payment is going to be, the total payment is going to be the interest plus the principal, right?
Right.
So that's easy, equals the interest plus the principal. And when we hit enter, it should equal 1362.22.
Voila.
Okay, huzzah. Now all we have to do is figure out what's the ending balance, which would be, it tells you here the ending balance is the beginning balance minus the principal. So equals the beginning balance here minus the principal. So we figured out payment number one.
Mhm.
We want to figure out the other 84 payments, and we don't want to have to do it one at a time.
Right.
So the first thing we have to do is we're going to click on cell B13, and we want the beginning balance. And we want to go down to B14. And the beginning balance, of course, can't equal the $98,000, can it? Because we just made a payment, so it's going to be less than that. So it's going to equal this. The ending balance of the first payment is going to be the beginning balance of the next payment. So we're going to just tell Excel to go there. Equals ending balance, which happens to be in cell F13. Okay. So the next month's beginning balance is the previous month's ending balance. Now I'm going to just use my autofill and I'm going to double click. I don't have to drag it down. I'm going to double click and it's going to fill it in, because right now, since there is no ending balance, that's why it's showing all, showing nothing. And we can scroll all the way down and it stops at the last payment. Now, what I want to do is I want to select the formulas that I put in here. I want to copy all of that down. And I have just filled out my 84 payments. And if I scroll all the way down, it should go down to 0. My 84th payment shows just that.
Here.
Okay.
could you do that last step again?
The last step, okay, let me undo.
Yes.
Okay, so I selected the range of C13 through through F13 because we figured out the interest, principal, total payment, ending balance, and I want to copy those same formulas and functions all the way down.
So why didn't you shade interest?
That never changes.
Interest when I selected it, I started with interest through ending balance.
Oh, I see. It just doesn't show up that, okay.
Yeah, the first cell will always look like it's not shaded.
Okay, got it, got it. That was my concern. Okay.
Okay, once you do that, go to the last cell, the ending balance, and we want to use the autofill handle. And you don't have to drag it down, you can, but the easiest thing to do is to double click on your autofill handle. It'll fill all the way down to the last entry.
Got it.
Isn't that beautiful?
Double click.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, what's nice about this is when you change things up here, let's say that the interest is a little higher. Let's say instead of 4.5%, let's say it's 6%. So I'm just going to change this to 6.
Mm.
Notice how it changes. You notice everything in the table automatically updated. Okay, so at 6%, of course, your payment is higher, and how much you're paying at the end of the year is much higher, but it still all goes down to 0.
Mm.
Remember, this is the input. These three here are the input. This is the output. Now let me show you what this looks like if I want to see the formulas and functions behind the table. I'm going to hold down my control key and click on the little squiggle sign. I call it control squiggle.
Okay, yeah, at the top. Okay.
Yeah, this is pulling behind the curtain. Okay, so this is showing you what's actually in these cells.
You did what to get that?
This is the formula view, it's called. The
Right.
formula view, holding down the control key and press the squiggle. Another way of doing it is going to, in your formulas tab, ribbon, you'll notice also there's a button in the formula auditing group that says show formulas. If you
Okay,
click on that, it does the same thing.
okay.
If you can't remember the control squiggle, you can go there.
Yeah, that's easier for me.
Okay. All right.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
If you had a loan amount, but you didn't have a specific loan term, and you had a constant payment, how would you?
It has to be
calculate that?
it has to be a specific term. It's as the formula states, the purpose of that formula is to find out the payment based on a specific term, a constant term and a constant rate.
Okay. And then the other question that I'd have is what if you, let's say it was a home loan and you made a balloon payment once a year? What would you do? Would you just change the loan amount in the column?
I don't, I've never done that, so I don't know.
Okay.
Again, this is for consistency. Just like if you wanted to, I don't know how it would affect if you had, let's say you wanted to put more money in the principal one,
Right.
I don't know how you would figure that out. If you did this the manual way, like you did in business math, maybe you can figure that out. But just using this function, I'm sure there must be a way, because one thing that this does not take into account, for example, let's go to, you notice I also have a tab that says timeshare. If you click on the timeshare, you'll see another one that's filled out. If you right click on the timeshare, wait a minute. Oh. Right. Okay. Let's click on the timeshare. Let's just come up with another scenario. Okay. So on the timeshare, what I want you to do is, since I already got the figures already in here, you do your show hide button, you'll see that the same formulas are in there. So let's just say we're doing a timeshare instead of a car. If you bought a timeshare for $45,000 and it's a 10-year loan, which is 120 payments, and the rate is 12.75%, this would be your monthly payment for that. But this is not including, say, like escrow and taxes and whatever. But this is just telling you what your monthly payment on that particular loan would be. It's the same thing. It's just, it's based on a very specific amount, very specific time period, and a very specific rate. How you change that, I don't know.
If you were making additional payments on the principal, could you change the formula under principal to, like in row 13, put $187.15 plus $100? Would it calculate that way? If you're consistent with the,
if you're gonna,
that would change the ending balance, right?
well, you're saying to add another $100 to your principal?
Yes, if you were just putting another $100 on the principal.
Well, let's see, I've never done that. So instead of 187, you make it 287. Okay, let's see what happens. Just 287.15. And
But wouldn't you change the whole formula though?
no, this principle is, I think I did, let me undo what I just did. The principal is still the payment, which is this figure minus C13, which is the interest. And the interest is going to go down every, yeah. So let's see, does that work out? It looks like it does. If I undo that one more time, well, that's going back to the other sheet. Well, this is 187, yeah. I have to play around because I have never done that.
Okay.
I don't know if you can with this particular function, but it's something to play around with. Because again, the formulas are going to be the same. The formula, going back to the, is going to be the payment minus the interest. And the interest is going to always, because the loan amount is going to drop every single month, your interest is going to be varied, but your principal, I mean, your total payment is going to be the same. So.
Well, it would seem to me in that formula under principal, and I don't know what I'm talking about, but equals payment minus 13. And what if you put plus 100?
That's what I was wondering.
Ah,
And that would continue all the way down because that's a constant.
Right.
all right. Let's see what that looks like. Well, it shows right here that that doesn't quite work out.
No.
Well, that's because you paid it off sooner than your turn. Right?
Yeah,
Well-
yeah. It looks like at payment 104, you only have 519 left. But the interest, your
Mhm.
principal is still. I've never done amortization tables the stubby pencil way. I've always had Excel do it. So that's an interesting question. I know I've tried to make it work before and I haven't made it work adding principal.
Mhm.
Again, the purpose of this formula is not for any kind of variation. It's for constants.
Okay.
But it's good to play around and see what happens. But that's how I mean, that's the only way I know how to do it. So I'm gonna undo. So, yeah. Because even in a bank amortization table, I have never seen how to factor that in. Because a lot of banks have those tables. If you go into a bank and they'll show you their amortization table. Again, it's all based on a constant. To my knowledge, it doesn't incorporate that variance. But I could be wrong. I've never tried it. But anyway.
Like copy the sheet, then I could change the formula.
Yeah, I just gave you something. I just want the purpose of this particular exercise was to show you that naming cells makes it easier for you to figure out what these formulas, are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that instead of just having a bunch of cell references, which doesn't really tell you much, this way you understand exactly how those figures came about and what they mean. So that's why I put this in here to let you know.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah. I hope that was helpful.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Again, if you wanted to print these things out, now this would be a really interesting table to print out. So let's take the audio loan here, Albie, I mean, and I go file and print. And let's see, this is how Excel is taking this table and is putting it in 7 pages. And notice how these
Whoa.
pages. So I might think, I don't want, to waste all this paper. I don't know why. Oh, I must have had something in here. So I don't want to waste so much paper when I really just want to see all this on 1 page or 2 pages. Especially if I go to page 2, I have all these columns and no headings and I don't know what I'm looking at. So I'm going to show you how you can, take care of that. So I'm going to go back to the original document. And anytime you go from your normal view and you go to your print view and they'll go back to your normal view, that's when you'll see the dotted lines that tells you where Excel is breaking things up. So you can go to your page break view and you can make some adjustments like, okay, I don't want, a separate page with just a column or 2 on it. And this shows 4 pages, 5 pages. Okay, down here, I see a dotted line, I'm going to stretch that out. So now it went from 5 to 4 pages. And I'm thinking that maybe I don't want page 3 and page 4 at all. I think what I want is at least to have these headings on this page 2. How do I do that? So let me show you. I'm going to go back to my normal view. And I'm going to go down to page 2, which begins, looks like page 2 begins at, where is it? Row, what is it? Where's page 2? It's at row 30.
Yeah, that looks like it. Cell
Yeah.
47.
It looks like it's 46. Okay. So if that's where page 2 is, I'm going to select from 46 down to 84, or this is 120, that's right. And I'm going to go back to my print preview, page 1, page 2. Looks like page 2 starts at row 36. Okay. So if page 2 starts at row 36, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to the very beginning. I'm going to go to my page layout tab. And in the page setup, you'll see a box that says print titles. Click on print titles. Notice it says print area at the top. Then below that, it says print titles, rows to repeat at top. So what means at the top of the page, what rows do I want to see? I want to see row 12. So if I click the little arrow here, it collapses that dialog box, and now I can click row 12. And up here it says $12 $12. In other words, it's saying this row is fixed. And if I want to print preview this to get an idea what this is going to look like, I can click print preview. It's showing me page 1. Page 2 has those titles. Page 3 has the title. So you see, we don't even need 4, 5, and 6. So all I need to do then is go to my, I would go to my page setup button down here in the bottom right. And I would, that's not where I would actually go to my page break view. This button on the far right, the little icon at the bottom. And see this dotted line near the bottom? Is that page breaking at row 83? I'm going to drag it down. So now, question? Somebody have a question?
Yeah, Gina, what's not printing in your page view is that dialogue that you put at the top of the page, that interest is calculated, that sort of thing. So that's, you have your chart, but you don't have that information printing anywhere. They're printing it on page 3. Right?
Yes, I noticed that. I would probably have to make this go landscape. Let's see, let me see if I can do it. If I do it landscape, it is gonna be different. It's printing it, but it's printing it on page 3. So if I wanted that, it's going to print on page 3.
But you're still in portraits, you're not in landscape.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
change
if I
the-
go into landscape, I don't know if it'll be enough.
No, doesn't, no.
I could, seeing that it might be easier for me to put that, let's see, as a comment.
Why are there dark lines? Oh, they're gone now.
What dark lines?
They're gone. They were on the other one.
Print preview?
Yeah, like here,
Yeah,
like
I don't
12,
know.
on the 12 and 22.
Yeah, but if I printed it, I don't think they would be dark. I don't know why they're showing it dark that way.
Oh, okay.
I don't see why it would be. There's nothing in my settings that would do that. Sometimes, again, you don't get exactly the print, what you see is what you get sometimes in Excel like you do in Word. Usually what you see on your screen in Word, when you go to your print preview, that's exactly how it's going to print out. But in Excel, sometimes you'll see things like that. Sometimes you'll see lines missing and you don't even know why. But when you print it out, you don't see it that way.
Okay.
Could you move that dialog box in underneath your initial box with the loan amount, loan term, put it in there? And then that way it would print in a portrait rather than landscape, and that would be at the top rather than at the end. Does that make sense?
I'm trying to think if I copied this and
Paste it. Paste it.
paste it at the bottom of,
No, right. Right. Oh,
I'm looking at, I think it would be better as a comment. I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to see what happens if I add it as a comment. So I'm going to insert, let's see.
right here.
Can't move. There's a comment. Insert comment, and I can insert the comment maybe at the bottom of.
Right here.
But you wouldn't necessarily want that information at the bottom of the page. You'd want it underneath or in that first box because that's how you're doing the calculations. At least that's how I
true.
would want it. That's how I would want it.
At the very top, yeah.
Very top
Rather
of our,
than-
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's,
You couldn't just put it under there?
you know what I could do is I could put
Copy
it
and paste.
on another page. Actually, there's a page I want to show you. Let's just cut this for the time being. And I want to show you, I'm just going to cut this for the time being. And I want to go and add a page. This is something that I think you should know as well.
Mhm.
If you click on Insert New Sheet, and let's paste what I just copied.
Yeah.
Okay. But what I really want to do is I want to paste all the sheet names. So I'm going to click in cell 6, A6 right now. And again, I'm going to go to, trying to get this bar out the way. Can't put it at the bottom. Okay. I'm going to go to my formula tab. And notice excuse me, the define names section,
Mhm.
there is the option that says use in formula. Click on the drop down. It's showing you all the name cells. And I want to paste the names in my worksheet here. And I want to paste the entire list. And so
Okay.
now I can, so here's my list of names. So I can look at my, I'm sorry, I can just know automatically. I could actually paste it on the worksheet itself if I wanted to. I guess I could have pasted it right here. I could have said paste names right here.
That wouldn't print out.
Yes, it would.
If you go landscape, it would, right?
Yes, if I go to my file, print, oh, I guess that's right. I don't have it landscape. So here it is. Oftentimes people will hide these sheets. This is just for your information. This is to let you know what you might say, well, what is loan amount? When I look at my worksheet and this says loan amount, this tells me the loan amount is on the BMW loan worksheet in cell C5. And that's what this is telling me. Oftentimes people will just, create that sheet and call it, names list or something like that. And they don't put it on the first page, but you can see, you can put it anywhere you want. But this is just for their edification when they want to look at a worksheet they're not familiar with. These are little hints to help remind you of how you created the sheet. So I could possibly put that other comment that I did with the little cheat sheet on where the formulas came from. I could put that on the same page.
Okay.
But,
Let's see if I can.
but you put it under 10?
Yeah, I can change the, I could easily change the dimensions of it.
Right there.
Where did I put it? Didn't I? Oh, was it the BMW? Okay.
Yeah, C cell, can't you put it in there? C10.
10, right, now we're
Yeah.
9, 10, that space.
Yeah,
That space, 9, 10, could you put it right there?
yeah.
I would have to, because not enough space. I'd have to add a few blank.
Insert.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so maybe now I can paste it. I gotta copy it again. Let's see, is this on what? How many? Trying to see, do I have this on more than one? Well, let's see what happens if I copy it this way. I think, yeah, it's on more than, it's on more than one. So I had to copy the whole. Okay, so let's see. If I copy and then
Paste.
Hey,
paste.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
There
yeah,
you
you
go.
go on the top in the ribbon.
There you go.
Right,
Nice.
that's a nice spot.
Yeah.
Print.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
All right,
Good job.
But yeah, you can do things. It doesn't have to be that big. It could be smaller. I just did that so that you have it easy to see.
No,
But as
it's
you can
nice.
see that you do have a lot of choices on how to do things.
See, this
Right.
is me more interesting than this right here.
Sorry, say again?
I can understand this better than I do this.
Yes, more information, the better understanding. I agree.
Mhm.
Okay, how do you change the break in the lines? Can you?
Yeah, I could. I don't know if it's worth the effort, but I can. Let's see. I'm thinking, sometimes I get confused with how Word does things as opposed to Excel. Let's see.
And the other thing is when you copy that, it copies it in the format that it's in, and it doesn't fit it in the box that you're trying to put it in.
And if I take this, I can get, how come I'm not able to, here we go. So if I take this,
Make it smaller.
yeah, I can make it smaller. It's showing it's already 8,
It's already 8, yeah.
already tiny. And if I want to draw lines, I can draw a side line. Let's see, here's a right
Yeah,
line and a left.
over there, yeah.
See if that will,
Almost. That's good, okay,
okay, so yeah, you can draw the extra lines there
okay.
and try to, I can't see, you notice you can't see the line on the left. I can see this line, let's see. So this is what, 14, yeah. But I want it. Maybe I should just go draw border here, just draw border. And I hope I get the right one.
There you go.
Yeah. Got it.
Smaller too, couldn't you?
There you go.
Perfect. You
Nice.
get it.
Very
You get an
nice.
A. You get an A.
Oh, thank you.
Very good.
So anyway.
Still
So
got
it looks like I need to put the
label.
the labels back on that one. So, but so, as you can see, you have to go back and forth, and to me, the printing on Excel is probably the most tedious thing I have to do, because I have to go back and forth and make sure everything's where I want it to be. Because it doesn't print the way I think it will.
Feature though.
This
Page layout.
share box is always in the way here for me. Okay, so page layout. What am I trying to do again?
Print
I
the
just forgot.
labels.
With the labels.
Oh yeah, okay. So
And titles. What was it? See? Forgot what it was.
it was now it's 18.
Okay.
Again, you preview it to make sure that it's, yeah, it's
14.
18.
Okay.
Mine is 18.
Oh, up there now.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 All right. So I tried to show you something like
I like this one a lot. If you wanted a real estate loan and you wanted to see what your payments were, the loan was at 2%, that would be.
Yeah, so if you
A
wanted
nice
to look
feature.
at this one, you just, the nice thing again, the input, these are the input, these are the ones that can change. Your output is already is just going to update. So if I wanted to see what, let's say this is 2.75%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my payments go down to $1,113.80. $0.83. At the end of the 7-year term, I've paid $93,540. So I've added another interest of just 8,000, whatever. So yeah, it tells you quite a bit, and it just makes it, it's
Easy to understand.
yeah, it's easy to understand. Again, there are all kinds of financial formulas. If you click on your formula tab and go to your financial, especially when it comes to interest and things, you'll have functions such as, where is it? I think this is your cumulus interest payment between 2 periods. You've got your cumulus principal. There are a lot of, when you see anything that has an INT in it, it's going to be some kind of interest rate. And if you don't know how to use these things,
Go to
like this particular
PMT.
formula, the one thing about the financial functions I find interesting, if you know these 3 things, and these things, most times if you know these things, it helps you quite a bit. The rate, it always tells you what the rate is, and it tells you what necessarily has to be filled out in this particular function in order for this function to work. And if I go back to just the PMT, I'm just going to click on a cell, oops,
Okay.
and click equals PMT. Just want to show you something very quickly. PMT, whoops. Oh, I had the interest in there. Equals PMT. Okay. Notice the functions that have payment in it. There's a payment, cumulative payment, interest payment, etc. But I'm just going to double click on this one and open up the function argument box. These are the only 3 things you need to know: the rate, the interest rate, okay? The number of payments, the total number of payments,
That you're gonna make. Okay.
and the principal, the
total loan.
the present value. Now, notice you can
present
also look at the future value or cash balance you want to attain after the last payment is made, 0 if omitted. There's also the type. In other words, is the payment at the end of the period or the beginning of the period? So for example, your interest, if your payment's on the 1st of the month, or is it on the 30th of the month? So those things are optional. You don't have to fill those out, but if you want to, they're there for you. But most of the PMT, the payment, they have those particular values in your function argument box. So if you use it a lot, you'll get quite savvy with this. It won't take you a lot of time to learn, because most of them have the same, arguments in them in different, order, different functions. Okay, well, it looks like we've pretty much done everything for today.
Thank
And
you. That was good.
Good, great. So again, if there's anything else that you might want me to go over in the future, just send me an email so I can make sure I can prepare a lesson for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you.
wonderful week, ladies.
Thank
too.
you
Yes,
also.
good to see everybody. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Right.
Bye.
Gina. Thanks, Gina.
Bye, ladies.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.